Welcome to Zoe Stories. My girlfriend's parents made me a girl so I could stay with her. I never imagined love would lead me to something this extreme. My name is Jake, and I'm 19 years old. I met Emily 2 years ago in high school, and from the moment we got together, I knew she was the one. She was everything I could ever want: kind, beautiful, and full of life. We dreamed of a future together, but there was one major obstacle standing in our way: her parents. Emily came from a strict, traditional family, the kind that dictated every aspect of her life, from what she wore to who she could date. They tolerated our relationship at first, but the moment they found out we had been secretly spending nights together, everything changed. Her father was furious, threatening to send her overseas to study, away from me. We begged, we pleaded, but nothing could change his mind. I was desperate. Emily was my world, and the thought of losing her felt unbearable. Then, her mother, who had always been more calculating than emotional, made an unexpected proposal. "If you were a girl, this wouldn't be a problem," she said casually, as if she were suggesting I change my haircut rather than my entire identity. At first, I thought she was joking, but the sharp glint in her eyes told me otherwise. I stared at her, stunned. "You can't be serious." But Emily's hand tightened around mine. "Jake, maybe we should consider it." And that was the moment my life changed forever. I sat frozen, my mind scrambling to make sense of what Emily's mother had just said. Become a girl? Was she insane? "This isn't a joke," her mother continued, her voice eerily calm. "If you were a girl, my husband wouldn't object to you staying with Emily. He wouldn't even question it." Emily's fingers were still wrapped around mine, her grip both reassuring and desperate. I turned to her, searching her face for some kind of protest, for her to tell me this was absurd, that we'd find another way. But instead, she just looked at me with wide, pleading eyes. "Jake," she whispered, "this might be the only way." The only way. A knot tightened in my stomach as the weight of her words settled over me. If I didn't do this, Emily's father would send her away. We'd be torn apart, possibly forever. But if I agreed, what would that even mean for me? Would I have to live as a girl all the time? Would I still be me? I shook my head. "Emily, I can't just become a girl. That's not who I am." Her mother sighed, as if I were being dramatic. "It wouldn't be permanent. Just long enough to convince my husband. You could stay here, with Emily, and no one would suspect a thing." The idea sent a shiver down my spine. I wasn't some actor who could slip into a role and pretend everything was normal. But then, I pictured Emily packing her bags, her tear-streaked face as she said goodbye, knowing we might never get this back. Could I really let that happen? Fear and doubt warred inside me. On one hand, the thought of dressing, acting, being someone I wasn't terrified me. On the other hand, if I didn't, I would lose Emily. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "And you really think this will work?" Emily nodded quickly. "My dad won't even question it. He wouldn't suspect a thing." Her mother folded her arms. "So, what's it going to be?" I exhaled shakily, my heart pounding. I had a choice to make. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, my mind spiraled with questions. Could I really do this? Would I even pull it off? What if I got caught? The whole idea felt impossible, but the alternative, losing Emily, was unbearable. The next morning, I met up with my best friend, Liam. If anyone could talk me out of this insanity, it was him. "You what?" Liam choked on his soda, staring at me like I had just grown a second head. I sighed, rubbing my temples. "Emily's mom says if I pretend to be a girl, I can stay with her. If I don't, her dad's sending her away. I don't know what to do." Liam leaned forward, lowering his voice. "Dude, this is crazy. Pretend to be a girl? Do you even hear yourself?" "Of course I hear myself," I snapped, frustration bubbling over. "But what choice do I have? It's either this or I lose her." He shook his head. "This isn't just wearing a wig for a day. You have to be a girl. Act like one. Talk like one. You really think you can fool her entire family?" I swallowed hard. "Emily thinks I can." Liam exhaled, running a hand through his hair. And what do you think? I hesitated. What did I think? That I was terrified? That I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump with no idea if I'd survive the fall? I took a deep breath. I think I love her enough to try. Liam groaned, slumping back. Man, this is next level insane. But if you're really gonna do this, you need help. You can't just throw on a dress and hope for the best. A lump formed in my throat. He was right. If I was going to pull this off, I had to be convincing. That meant more than just clothes. I had to learn how to move, talk, and carry myself like a girl. Emily's mom wasted no time once I agreed. That evening, she sat me down with a determined look. If we're going to do this, we're doing it right. And that's when the real nightmare began. The first thing she did was take me shopping. Walking into the women's section felt like stepping onto an alien planet. Emily picked out outfits while her mother studied me critically. We need to do something about your face, she muttered. I frowned. What's wrong with my face? She ignored me, pulling out a foundation bottle. Sit, she ordered. As she dabbed and blended, my reflection in the mirror started to change. My sharp jawline softened, my features became delicate. When she added a wig, long, brown, and cascading over my shoulders, I barely recognized myself. Emily's eyes widened. Jake, you actually look kind of, she trailed off, biting her lip. Her mother smirked. Convincing. I swallowed the lump in my throat. This was real. This was happening. And there was no turning back now. I stood in front of the mirror, gripping the edges of the vanity so hard my knuckles turned white. The girl staring back at me wasn't me, couldn't be me. But there she was, with soft brown waves cascading over delicate shoulders, lips tinted a soft pink, and eyes lined just enough to make them pop. My stomach twisted. What am I doing? Emily stepped beside me, meeting my gaze in the mirror. You don't have to do this, she whispered, but her voice betrayed her own uncertainty. I let out a shaky breath. Didn't I? If I backed out now, Emily's father would follow through with his plans. She'd be gone, ripped from my life with no way of knowing if or when I'd see her again. The thought alone was unbearable. But this was stepping into unknown territory. It wasn't just a disguise. It was becoming someone else, at least for a while. Could I really pull this off? Would I lose myself in the process? Emily's mother crossed her arms. If you want to walk away, do it now. But if you're in, there's no half measures. I stared at myself one last time, feeling the weight of the choice before me. Then, with a deep breath, I straightened my posture, adjusted the dress I wore, and whispered the words that sealed my fate. I'm in. The next morning, Emily's mother wasted no time. We have a lot of work to do, she said, ushering me into her bedroom. Laid out on the bed were clothes, delicate fabrics in soft colors, skirts, blouses, even lingerie. My throat tightened at the sight. This was no longer just an idea, it was becoming real. First, she said, holding up a small bundle of fabric, you'll need this. I took it hesitantly, a padded bra. My face burned as she handed me a matching pair of panties. Put them on, she instructed. I hesitated, but Emily gave me an encouraging nod. Taking a deep breath, I stepped into the bathroom and changed. The bra's straps felt strange against my shoulders, and the padding pushed against my chest in a way that made me feel different. The panties were softer, tighter than I was used to, clinging to my hips in a way that made me hyper-aware of my body. When I stepped out, Emily's mother nodded in approval. Now, let's fix your shape. She handed me a corset-like garment. This will give you a waist, she explained, tightening it around me. I sucked in a sharp breath as it cinched my torso, forcing me into a more feminine silhouette. Emily knelt in front of me, helping me slip into a skirt. The fabric swished around my legs, a stark contrast to the jeans I usually wore. She then handed me a blouse, its neckline dipping lower than anything I'd ever worn. Once I was dressed, her mother led me to the vanity. Time for makeup, she announced. I sat stiffly as she worked. The brush strokes against my skin were foreign, but as she blended foundation, contoured my cheeks, and painted my lips, my reflection slowly changed. My sharp edges softened. My features became delicate. The person looking back at me wasn't Jake. It was someone else entirely. Then came the wig. When Emily placed it on my head, long, silky brown locks framing my face, I felt my breath hitch. I barely recognized myself. Emily's mother smiled. "Not bad," she said, tilting my chin up to examine her work. "Now, the real test, walking." She set a pair of nude pumps in front of me. I stared at them, my stomach nodding. "You want me to wear heels?" Emily giggled. "You'll have to." Taking a deep breath, I slipped my feet in. The moment I stood, my balance wavered. "Whoa. Posture straight," her mother instructed. "Small steps." I took a hesitant step, wobbling slightly. Another. Then another. The motion felt unnatural, but with Emily's encouragement, I slowly found a rhythm. By the time we finished, I was exhausted, physically and mentally. But when Emily held up a mirror and whispered, "You look beautiful," something inside me shifted. I wasn't just wearing a disguise anymore. I was becoming her. I stood at the top of the staircase, my pulse hammering as the murmurs of conversation floated up from the living room below. Emily squeezed my hand. "Are you ready?" I wasn't. Not even close. But there was no turning back. Emily's father was waiting downstairs. The man who had threatened to send Emily away, who had forced me into this situation, who held the power to tear us apart if I failed. If I could convince him, if I could sell this illusion, then I could stay by Emily's side. If not, I swallowed hard. Emily's mother gave me a once-over, fixing a stray lock of my wig. "Remember, confidence. You are her now. Own it." I nodded stiffly, adjusting my blouse. The sensation of the fabric clinging to my frame, the weight of the wig, the faint scent of lipstick, it all felt surreal. Emily led me down the stairs, one delicate step at a time. Each click of my heels against the hardwood sent a shiver through me. As we reached the bottom, Emily's father turned. His eyes locked onto me, cold and scrutinizing. Silence. I forced a small smile, praying my voice wouldn't betray me. "Hi, Mr. Callahan." He frowned, his gaze sweeping over me. I felt exposed, like he could see right through the makeup, the dress, the carefully practiced posture. My stomach twisted. Then Emily's mother spoke. "Meet Jamie," she said smoothly. Emily's childhood friend, staying with us for a while. His expression didn't change. He studied me for a long, agonizing moment before finally speaking. Thought you'd be taller." A breath I hadn't realized I was holding escaped my lips. "That was it?" Emily's mother chuckled, brushing past me. "Not everyone's built like a linebacker, dear." Emily squeezed my fingers discreetly, her eyes shining with relief. I'd passed the first test. But as I sat down at the dinner table, heart still racing, a chilling realization settled over me. This wasn't over. I had convinced him for now, but I would have to live this lie. Every day. Every interaction. Every moment. And the scariest part? A part of me wasn't sure if it was a lie anymore. Days turned into weeks. The anxiety that had gripped me at the start gradually melted into routine. At first, every movement felt like a performance, adjusting my voice, my posture, the way I carried myself. But as time passed, something unexpected happened. I stopped thinking about it. It wasn't just an act anymore. I had adapted, blended in. I laughed with Emily's mother as we cooked together, helped Emily pick out outfits for school, and even managed to navigate conversations with her father without breaking into a cold sweat. Some nights, I stared at my reflection, searching for the person I had been before. But the boy I once knew felt distant, like a half-remembered dream. In his place stood someone softer, more refined, yet undeniably me. Emily noticed it too. "You seem happier," she whispered one evening as we sat on her bed, her fingers tracing idle patterns on my arm. "Happier." The word settled in my chest, unfamiliar yet comforting. I had fought so hard against this, convinced that I was losing myself. But now, I wasn't sure if I had lost anything at all. Maybe I had just uncovered something I hadn't known was there. Would I stay like this forever? I didn't know. But for now, I wasn't afraid anymore. For the first time, I felt free. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.